Live on a Thursday. It's the 8th of May. Welcome inside the vault for a Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. I'm Bobby Trossett. She's Sarah Ellison. On your way in, if you could, please like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell. Do all the things that make us go, and we are going. That's what we're doing over the course of the next hour. We will be joined at 12:45, Sarah, by Brent Pry. He is the head coach of the Virginia Tech Hokies, one of college football's elites, and somebody that coached and recruited Aeneas Peebles, who, of course, was the 6th-round defensive tackle taken out of Tech, who's become a fan favorite over the last couple of weeks because of his outspoken, boisterous personality. So that and a whole lot more is what we've got coming up, including one of the other rookies, Sarah, Malachi Starks, who may very well have just ingratiated himself with the Ravens fan base overnight. Not that he wasn't already in good standing, but he looks like he triggered Bill's Mafia. I got some receipts as to why that's the case, and we have a clip from his interview yesterday with SportsCenter, including the Hall of Fame tight end that never was a Raven, but could have been. We'll revisit that. Take a look at some more Justin Tucker loose ends that we may have skipped over earlier in the week, and I'm sure some quick hits, super chats, and all that good stuff along the way. It's great to see you.
You, sir, have been on an absolute booking tear. Okay, now you got the head coach of Virginia Tech coming inside the vault. So well done. After, by the way, what was one of my favorite interviews we've had all offseason with Tyler Loops, former special teams coach. Now he's the defensive coordinator over at Arizona. So you are killing it, sir. You are killing it on the back end, and I appreciate you.
Oh, likewise. I appreciate you. It's been a lot of fun. We both go back and forth as we always share in terms of how the logistics of all of this goes behind the scenes. But I'm just glad that we have willing participants. You know, Coach Danny Gonzalez, to your point, was fantastic yesterday. Cannot recommend it enough to go check that out after the show is over. It is up on our Best Of tab here on YouTube. So it's about 20 plus minutes of great conversation and great context that you may not have heard anywhere else when it comes to Tyler Loop, who is attempting to succeed Justin Tucker. And I'll just say this before we jump into the Malachi Starks nugget. If memory is serving me here, I think Coach Pry will be, I think, the first active head coach that we will have on this show in an exclusive format. So I'm really looking forward to catching up with him. It's not the first Raven that's come from Virginia Tech, but it was prior to Coach's tenure there. Chuck Clark comes to mind. So he's now with the Jets. He was a former day 3 safety, if memory serves me on that, from 2017. I believe that was the case. So anyway, we're looking forward to that conversation. Get your questions ready, and we'll be ready to bring on Coach Pry in about 30 plus 35 minutes or so. Shall we get to Malachi Starks and how he ignited things on social media, which was probably, as usual, when it comes to some of these stories, when you have humble guys that are just trying to answer a question fairly and honestly. Yeah. I think he did so indirectly.
Well, I'm actually excited to see it. I did see the video of him saying what he said on SportsCenter, and I know you kind of brought it to light. It kind of blew up on your Twitter. So I haven't seen how Bill's Mafia has been triggered. So I look forward to seeing that and having this discussion.
All right, cool. As do I. So we should probably go video, then screen share of all the bookmarks that I just spent a couple minutes tracking down for us so we can actually read you real life examples. Some of these people aren't living in real life, but Twitter tends to be a little bit of both. So we will read some of those responses. But first, how did we get here? Malachi Starks, Ravens rookie safety, 1st-round pick out of Georgia. Took a virtual interview yesterday with SportsCenter as the 27th overall pick. So he's getting some pub out there. Good for you, Malachi. Trying to get him on the show too, by the way. Here he is.
Quarterback are you looking forward to picking off the most?
I think I want to get Josh Allen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I want to get Josh Allen. I got a few teammates up there. So it'll just be fun. It'll be a really cool moment for me.
Sarah, there are people within the Twitter sphere that are acting as if this dude said something horrible about their quarterback. And you guys know how it goes. Nope, it was pretty simple. It was pretty subtle, and it was honest. And that is, he wants to get Josh Allen. He wants to pick off the reigning MVP. And regardless of whether you feel it was MV pity or, of course, voter fatigue or anything that went into that, I know you and I both believe that absolutely was a factor in this past season's award and the way it was ended up being divvied up. But regardless of how you feel about any of that, this was just a competitive spirit, all in good fun kind of answer. And it's amazing how it gets new legs and takes new life once it gets to the social media sphere.
Well, before we get to that social media, to me, listening to that as the Ravens, I'm sure, want Malachi Starks to be able to make good on his wish, because as much as people diss Josh Allen for all of the interceptions he's thrown throughout his career, he was much cleaner last year in 2024. But he's thrown a lot of picks throughout his career. In fact, I always tell Bills fans who have been in my mentions, I can only imagine how your mentions are, because they were in my mentions all year because of the MVP race last season. But he hasn't thrown a lot of picks in Baltimore or against the Ravens. And that is one thing we've been calling for, especially in the playoffs, is the defense being able to create more turnovers. But in 4 games against the Ravens throughout his career, Baltimore's only picked him off 1 time. Now, he has had a low pass rating, 66.3 with 613 yards and 2 touchdowns, so that's good. But they've only picked him off once, and that one time was back in 2022, that October game. And so didn't pick him off in 18, didn't pick him off in 19, and didn't pick him off last year. So this is one of the reasons why the Ravens drafted heavily on the defensive side, because the defense needs to return to its standard, and it for sure needs to create more turnovers. And we know Malachi Starks has crazy ball skills. Once that football is in the air, he's an acrobat up there if he's in position. So we welcome it. And I'll just say this, I don't know what the response is going to be, but when people go out there and say, oh, I want to sack Lamar Jackson, or I want to pick off Lamar Jackson, that's a hat tip. That's a compliment. And so at the same time, you use it to put a chip on your shoulder and say, okay, it's on. Let's get these competitive juices going. So as long as the fans are just taking it as a competitive, an invitation
Gesture.
to competition. Yeah, a competitive gesture, a compliment. That's the way it should be taken. Thanks for the compliment. And now it's on. Now that I'm okay with, but I'm excited to see the responses that you got.
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a second too, because you mentioned something a second ago, and just to kind of jog your memories, he has been very interception prone, with the exception to his MVP year, as you alluded to, throughout his career. Matter of fact, he's got 5 different seasons, Sarah, including as recently as 2023, where he's hit the double-digit category, in a category you don't want to be anywhere near double digits in. And Lamar certainly wasn't last year, and he wasn't either, to your point. He had 18 picks, Sarah, in 2023. And yes, as we learned last year,
he didn't win
Lamar,
the MVP that year.
No doubt. And at the same time, we know that there is context that is required for this statistic, as there are with most statistics. And I thought did a good job of outlining that last year when it comes to Lamar and whose fault those, what did it end up being? 4? Was it 4 total for Lamar last year? Picks?
Yes.
I want to say.
Yeah.
And we went through each one of them. So we could do that with Josh, but man, 18, 15, 14, 12, and 10. He's had 5 different seasons with double-digit interceptions. So if you're Malachi, you like your chances. Then again, he's coming off a really clean campaign, of course, like you already mentioned. So that's one screen share. The other is to my mentions. And I went ahead and bookmarked a number of tweets that I felt like fell in the category of Bills Mafia feeling triggered. Good friend of mine, good college buddy of mine, is from the Buffalo area, from Rochester. I know he's watching, and if he's not, he's listening to us in the aftermath of this, Sarah. And he's got to be his gears got to be grinding right now. Mark, I love you, but we're going to the mentions. Let's take a look at what's come in so far, Sarah. Chris says, Josh is the face of the league when you got rookies salivating over him. Ripper Magoo says, living rent-free in all Ravens' heads. Allen MV2 says, one-sided obsession. Amani says,
one-sided?
I knew you'd get a kick out of this.
That's the funniest one so far.
I knew you'd get a good kick out of this.
Like last year, I wouldn't even tweet about Josh, and they'd still be in my mentions. This is hilarious. Okay, go ahead.
I'm sure. Amani, who fancies himself or herself as a parody account, he's a true Raven. because what other teams' players have this much obsession with Josh Allen. Nick Mafia leaps. By the way, unbelievable game 2 last night in Boston between the Knicks and the Celtics. Somehow New York is up 2-0 after the Celtics, Sarah, have blown 2 separate 20-plus point leads in the playoffs.
Crazy.
Unreal. Nick Mafia leaps. Yep, he's a Raven. Obsessed with Josh and the Bills. Are these all the same burner accounts? Guys that have multiple burner accounts? What do you think? Amazing. Depressed Buffalo sports fan. There's a better chance that Maxwell Hairston, somebody that Emery turned us. Oh, no. Was it Daniel Jeremiah that mocked him to Baltimore?
Yes.
The Kentucky corner?
Yes.
Okay. He's a rookie. There's a better chance that Maxwell Hairston picks off Lamar than there is of Starks picking off Allen.
I mean, they both could.
Sleeper Bills has been a Raven for not even 2 weeks and is obsessed with us. Are you seeing a theme, a common theme? Mafia Members Podcast. Dang, Allen and Bills are living rent-free in Baltimore. It's already worn off on the rookie who's been there for 2 weeks. LOL. XY, somewhat satisfied Bills fan. Malachi, we aren't disrespecting the reigning MVP.
Yeah.
Right? Do you think somewhat satisfied, Sarah? I'm just wondering. Do you think somewhat satisfied listened to the clip or read the tweet?
Yeah, he definitely was not disrespectful whatsoever. These are questions that are asked to players all the time coming out of the draft. Who do you want to sack? Who do you want to intercept? Or if you're a quarterback, like, you know, who do you want to evade? Like, who do you want to go up against? Like, it's all compliments. That's for sure. Not like he's not naming, let's see, Joe Flacco for a reason, right? He's not naming Joe Flacco for a reason. He's not naming Kenny Pickett for a reason. He's not naming so many of these other quarterbacks. So yeah, I think it's a sign of respect for sure.
Jake says he better 1-2 buckle his shoe when it's time to try and tackle the demon, referring to Josh, who is a tough tackle. Yeah, Lamar is as well.
That's why he wants to pick him, not tackle him.
That's for sure. Yeah. And that brings me to, we'll get to Emery
a little bit
later on, but that is my bookmarks.
Yeah,
and just a snippet, by the way. I could have gone on and on and on, but that was a snippet of what my mentions has been since tweeting this video yesterday, where you saw a humble yet competitive spirit rookie who was being honest and transparent. So go ahead and twist your words all you want, but that's the truth.
Yeah, some of those I don't have a problem with. Like, it's like, okay, let's go. It's on, you know? But the definitely one-sided stuff was silly. The disrespecting, silly. There's no disrespect. And the obsessed part. There is no, and there's some competition. Bengals fans are maybe a close number 2. There is no fan base that was in my mentions more than the Buffalo Bills last year. And I'm talking about last year over all the years. Like, that is the most. They started following me. It didn't matter what I was tweeting about, whether it was Bills related or not. You talk about obsessed. Now, it's not all Bills fans, right? But I'm just saying, as a group, they were in my mentions nonstop. If you want to talk about obsessed, it was hilarious.
That does not surprise me in the slightest.
The competition is on. I mean, this is what you bring them in for. People always think that, like, when I say, like, for example, when I said that the Browns and the Steelers with their first round picks picked defensive tackles, and I'd say something like, well, I wonder if that has anything to do with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Right? Like, Derrick Henry ran over all you guys. And then, of course, being, out in Ohio, a bunch of people heard that and they're like, oh, you act like we're afraid of you. And it's like, no, this is what teams do. Like, you have certain division rivals. And so you build a roster to beat that rival, because everybody's first goal is to win the division. That's the first goal. And so that's just true. Like, that's just true. So Malachi Starks, I'm sure, is one reason the Ravens got him, is to pick off the Josh Allens of the world. But it's not just Josh Allen. It's also Patrick Mahomes. It's also to take care of Joe Burrow. It's all of them. And all these guys are drafting to beat the other. You have strengths and you have weaknesses. You see how you got beat before, and you try to build a roster that solidifies that weakness and make it a strength. It's all compliments. It's all compliments, not disrespectful.
There's really not much to it
Yeah.
when it comes to the comprehension component. But by the way, got breaking news within the last few minutes.
Okay.
White smoke has appeared from the Sistine Chapel. So it sure looks
Ooh,
like
we'll get a new pope.
a new pope has been elected. So for
I'm
those of
not
you-
even Catholic, and I'm like, hey, we're getting a new pope.
I know.
You're Catholic though, right, Bobby? You're
I am.
Irish. There you
Yep,
go.
I am Irish Catholic,
There you
and it's always funny when Adam Schefter is the one that I'm reading right now. who's tweeting
Of
about
course,
it.
that's how
So,
you get the news.
yeah,
Yeah.
there were, obviously everybody's tweeting about it, but Adam just so happened to be one of the first that came down the timeline. So for those of you who have been involved and invested in this search process,
Yeah.
there you have it. So,
By the way, real quick, Buffalo Bills, an away opponent in 2025. We'll find out when, though, once the schedule comes out, I'm sure later this month.
yes, and
Yes.
we are talking to a couple sponsors that I got to update you on. Nothing, no surprises. We've had them in the past.
Yeah.
About doing our special show, our special schedule release live stream coming up on Wednesday. So look forward to that. We'll figure out which guests that we'll track down as well coming up. Typically, we start at around 6 or 7 on Wednesday. We'll figure out all that and let you know. Should we get caught up on Super Chats before we talk about Gronk?
Sure.
All right. Deshaun Davis became a channel member of ours within the last 24 hours. We gave him a shout out. Appreciate you, Deshaun. Obird writes, Bobby, that mustache is looking good. Keep it up. I'm just trying something. Let's see what happens. John R. gives us a super sticker. We appreciate you, John, who's also a channel member of ours. And Dreams, showing a little bit of NBA love, Sarah.
He says, Bobby, as a Celtics fan, that just brought up past trauma. Missoula saving timeouts like another coach I know, SMH. Celtics in 7 with the green clover. Better get it together.
Queon, it would not surprise me to see this series go 7, but if they keep living and dying by the 3, man, they missed 45 threes in game 1. That is absurd. Now, they made a conscious effort to go away from the 3 and attack more last night, at least in the first half that I watched. I didn't make it through the whole game. And then, Sarah, Denver got absolutely rocked by Oklahoma City.
How do you give up basically 150 points? This isn't like an all-star game. Is there any defense going on in Denver? 150 points in a playoff game?
That's going to be problematic.
Please.
Yeah, that's problematic. But that series far from over. The NBA playoffs this year has been sensational. And I haven't even caught as many games as I should be. I'm watching a lot of highlights, following a lot of tweet threads. But yeah, Dreams, best of luck to your Celtics. By the way, a former Celtic is walking to work today, FS1, Fox Sports Studio. Paul Pierce is literally walking to work after he said, there's not a chance that my C's are losing game 2. And if they do, I will walk to work. Sarah, that's 15 miles. I don't know where he lives.
And did he say he would do it in a robe? Did he say I'll go in a robe?
He's doing it in a robe. He said barefoot. I don't know if he's confirmed barefoot yet, but I assume he's in the LA area. So he's got a 15+ mile walk. So best of luck to the truth. Yeah. And finally, Sod Blitz 34 says Mel K's big board, Mel Kiper, that is. Ed Reed, number 18, back in 02. Terrell Suggs, number 6 in 03. PFF's big board, 25. Malachi Starks, number 8. Mike Green, number 10. I assume this is overall prospects. Mm-hmm. The ceiling is 2 Hall of Famers in 1 draft, ... for the second time. Wouldn't that be something?
Oh, my goodness.
Lofty visions for Sod.
The expectations on these rookies. My goodness.
No doubt. Thank you guys for being with us today on this Monday. We will be joined in about 20 minutes by the current head coach of the Virginia Tech Hokies. We really look forward to this conversation. Brent Pry is going to join us to talk about a number of things, including one of the guys that he recruited, cultivated, and ultimately built into a NFL defensive tackle, and that is Aeneas Fub Peebles, one of the many 6th-round picks that heard his name called a couple weekends ago by the Baltimore Ravens. So that's what we have coming up. Where to next, partner?
We're going to go on to some Rob Gronkowski. I don't even want to call it news. I think it's new to a lot of people, but I remember covering the 2010 draft and hearing about this, but we weren't as bummed by it because we didn't know what Rob Gronkowski was going to be. But he was on the Dude of Dudes podcast, and he brought to light how the Ravens were very close to drafting him in the 1st round. Let's see. Try to get this going. I don't know why that's not playing.
That not firing off for you?
It's not. Can you try it?
Sure.
Give it a twirl, and if
Let's
not,
take a look.
not working for
All
you
right.
either.
A little bit of real-time maneuvering here. Do you have the link that I could grab and throw it on my side?
I think I unbookmarked it. Why isn't this? Is it working on my computer? All right, it's definitely working on my computer.
25th pick that they had.
All right, let me try to re-upload it. If not, I'll just have you guys listen through my mic.
I got you. I got it over here.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
Here comes Gronkowski. Same clip in just a second here. Here he comes.
Ravens were going to pick me. I think it was a 25th pick that they had in the draft. But then Denver and Josh McDaniels came scooping in and traded with the Baltimore Ravens. The Denver Broncos took Tim Tebow. I just got booted out of the first round. The Ravens have the 43rd pick now. Well, then the New England Patriots got a sniff of it, and they traded up one spot before the Baltimore Ravens at number 42, where I got drafted. I also heard through a grapevine that if I didn't get drafted to the New England Patriots, Greg Olsen was going to get traded that day for a draft pick to the New England Patriots because the Patriots were looking for a tight end.
Yes, Bobby. I definitely had heard this at the time. Oh, could you imagine Rob Gronkowski, a Baltimore Raven? And what's crazy, Bobby, as I covered this draft, just put yourself in my shoes that night. Or everybody's shoes. You were not covering the Ravens at the time. They traded completely out of the first round. What a just anticlimactic finish. Could you imagine if we had streamed? What do? We do like 5 or 6 hours every first night. And at the end of those 5 to 6 hours, the Ravens never chose anybody. That was such a deflating night. So they traded all the way back into the second round. So they had 2 second rounders and they bombed. They bombed the 2 second rounders. There was Sergio Kindle, who was supposed to be like this great pass rusher. And he had gotten into an accident, really bad, hurt his head. He never even really ended up playing. He played 3 games. And then they had also gotten Terrence Cody, a defensive tackle out of Alabama, who was supposed to be just this run stuffer that would engulf you. And then he ended up, facing charges for we talked about this a couple weeks ago randomly. What was it?
I think you told me animal cruelty.
Abuse. Yeah, animal cruelty. Then there was Ed Dixon. So then they double dipped at tight end in the 3rd and 4th round. Ed Dixon really never came to fruition. It was Dennis Pitta who did come to fruition, but we know what happened to him, that he ended up having those hip injuries. Now, the good thing is the Ravens got a Super Bowl with Dennis Pitta. But they could have had a Super Bowl with Rob Gronkowski. And I love Dennis. I know you do too. He's my boy. He's from BYU. I've met him several times. Great guy. But, a Hall of Famer. Then look at these other draft picks. There just wasn't much. David Reed, 5th round wide receiver, didn't do much. Arthur Jones, he stuck around for a minute. So he was a pretty good 5th rounder. And then the 6th round, Ramon Harewood at tackle, he never really developed. And so out of that, you basically get Dennis Pitta and Arthur Jones. And because of those injuries, he was out. And so it's just like I remember the time hating moving out of the first round. And I also remember being like, oh, they try to get Rob Gronkowski. But I was like, and we didn't know who he was going to be back then. I was like, but they did end up getting 2 tight ends. So we'll see what happens. But now as you're looking back, it's even more deflating.
Man, you give Flacco a Gronkowski.
Oh,
It just makes you wonder what if for sure. And it would have been awfully fitting because this organization has been rich at that position for years. Years. You mentioned Dennis. You got to put Todd Heap, of course, and Mark Andrews, and gosh, Shannon Sharp, and maybe when it's all said and done, Isaiah Likely's in that conversation, and other guys that deserve honorable mentions, of course, are Ed Dixon and Nick Boyle, and you keep going on and on and on. They have been so fruitful and rich at that position, and that certainly continues today.
Yeah. Some in the chat saying put some respect on Dennis Pitta's name. I think we've both done that, but there's levels to this. Like Dennis Pitta, Super Bowl winner, and was a big part of that Super Bowl team. And then there's a Hall of Famer, who has several Super Bowls, and part of that's because of his quarterback in Tom Brady. So plenty of respect on Pitta. Like I said, we both have like a personal relationship with him. Phenomenal guy, phenomenal player. Obviously, his hip injuries took him out too soon. So plenty of respect there. But he wasn't a Hall of Famer. And that's what Rob Gronkowski is.
Yep.
Yeah.
No doubt. And you got some other tight end news in here as well that I think this happened either right before our show yesterday or during it, but the Eagles and Dallas Goedert, they've agreed to a rework deal for this upcoming season. Garofolo, Jeff McClain, all over this. The team had trade offers for Goedert during the draft, which makes you wonder if Eric DeCosta got a couple of calls. I mean, he certainly suggested that.
He definitely suggested he got him, and then he said he realized the rest of the league doesn't value him meaning Andrews as much as they do.
Precisely. And this also reminds me of something that I think you tweeted about. It might have been over the weekend, and we may have even mentioned it earlier in this week. I honestly can't remember the days at this point, but I saw a report, might have been from Rossini, that San Francisco was offered a second for George Kittle during the draft. I want to say that's what I saw, that they were offered a second round pick for George Kittle. And instead, I believe he just got an extension within the last few days. So anyway,
I don't think we covered that. No, I don't. It doesn't ring a bell.
I'll look that up when you say what you have to say here about the Goedert news. And why don't you read the rest of the tweet so I can go get it and confirm it?
Yeah, I'm bringing it up because it sounds like now you're adding Kittle. It sounds like there were 3 veteran tight ends that were kind of on the market, that their teams were open for business, and maybe having so many available plus the guys in the draft that really nobody got picked up. Nobody was looking for any of these guys. So what ended up happening is he did redo his deal. And Bobby, just like both of them were on the market, both Goedert and Mark Andrews, it sounds like Goedert, they were both going into their final years, but Goedert now, he took a pay cut. It wasn't just a restructure. So he was due $14 million in cash this year. And so his new deal only gives him $10 million, because you can only restructure if restructuring is just you get more of your future money now, but you couldn't do that because this was his last year of his contract. So he took a $4 million pay cut with the chance to just earn $1 million back via incentives. And so I think my first question is okay, because there's been so many similarities, I was like, could they do that with Mark Andrews? But they already paid him his bonus. Goedert, his bonus wasn't due until right before the season.
Got it.
So I think that ship may have sailed. Maybe they could still do something out of the base salary, but they already paid him his roster bonus I want to say over a month ago.
Speaking of payment, George Kittle is indeed just days removed from a very lucrative contract extension, 4 years, $76.4 million. He's the highest paid tight end in the NFL, includes $40 million guaranteed. And according to Diana Rossini, the 49ers declined an offer for a second round pick in exchange for Kittle before the draft, and instead chose to extend him days after the draft. So that was that.
Okay.
It just popped into my mind when we're talking about stud tight ends.
So changing topics real quick before Coach Pry gets here in about 10 minutes or so. I wanted to follow up on something, Bobby. I think earlier this week, after the news of Justin Tucker kind of went down, we had we led with it in a video. I think it was Tuesday or whatever. And, we named 4 reasons why the Ravens cut Justin Tucker. And we talked a little bit about their release and their statement from Eric DeCosta. And there's a 5th reason why they did it the way they did that I was unaware of. Okay. And I think this is a really, really big deal, especially with the heat that the Ravens are taking and the heat that they're getting from some media outlets. For me, Bobby, is going a little bit too far. Earlier this week, we put up a tweet from Mina Kimes when she quote retweeted Eric DeCosta's release, and she said, "Was this tone really necessary?" And then she had a conversation. I was fine with that question. I know that some people would have liked a different tone, that maybe they weren't, thanking him for everything he did. I'm okay with people asking those questions and being like, you know what, it was a bit too much for me. But I feel like some of the criticisms might be going a little too far, especially in light of this 5th point that I was unaware of before. But the Monday morning quarterback, Connor Orr, completely went after the Ravens, didn't like that they were calling it a football decision. The Baltimore Sun reached out to some of the massage therapists, some of those that have accused Justin Tucker of sexual assault. And they put out this tweet that said that they didn't feel vindication that he was cut, nor some sense of justice. Then Kyle Goon over at the Baltimore Banner said the Ravens' backward explanation for cutting Justin Tucker only shows they can't be trusted. And then he went on and said, when it comes to excuses, the Baltimore Ravens' reasoning for cutting Justin Tucker falls pretty far down the list, calling the release of the most accurate kicker in NFL history one of the team's football decisions lands somewhere between my cat got sick and I lost my keys. He says it's just lame. Okay, so I think that what most of these people probably don't understand, and I'm assuming that because I didn't know this either, that not only were the Ravens in part protecting themselves from a potential grievance, but Mike Florio brought out that if the Ravens even put any sort of sense that they cut him because of the allegations, then they would have ruined the NFL investigation. I'll let Mike Florio explain. And another video is not working for me. I don't know why it's happening with the videos I've brought in. Let me see if I can.
Do you have that one bookmarked for me?
I always unbookmark them once I bring them in, but let me see if a new one will help. Yeah, no.
Appreciate you guys for being with us. We got Coach Pry coming on about 7 minutes from right now, so be on the lookout for that. I saw this video out there somewhere, but
well, if you don't find it, I can explain it. But basically, in the CBA, you can't punish somebody twice for the same thing. Okay, so Mike Florio brought up Richie Incognito. And after all of the stuff that came out with him, with the Dolphins, they cut him and they explained that they did it because of his actions in the locker room and with teammates. And so because of that, it prevented the NFL from suspending him or anything else. You couldn't do anything else. It's kind of like this. It's just the idea that, like, if you get convicted, you can't be convicted again of the same crime and then have another punishment for it. You can't do it twice. And that makes sense to me. And so had the Ravens used the cut as a justification for punishing him, then it would render the NFL investigation null. So anybody that is seeking that Justin Tucker get a greater punishment, if the Ravens had done that, it would have wiped away what all of these people are asking for. You know what I mean? Like Kyle Goon, it looks like he wants it to be said that he's being held responsible for the sexual misconduct accusation. Same with Connor Orr. Same with the massage therapist, who I understand the most where they're coming from. But had they done that, they would have ruined the NFL investigation. They would have ruined anything that could have come out of that. And so the other thing I want to say here, Bobby, is that when, and I have no problem with Kyle, but when he says the Ravens can't be trusted, or over here, the Baltimore Sun saying like it doesn't give any sense of justice. I think that it's a problem when we're looking for any NFL team to be a replacement for the criminal justice system or the civil justice system. I think obviously all these teams in the NFL should have standards, and they can cut or employ whoever they want. But at the end of the day, they can't be looked at as a replacement for that. And unfortunately, nobody came forward earlier before the statute of limitations passed. And I understand that. I totally understand why victims don't come forward. And I am not in the least bit blaming them for not coming forward. I'm just saying the facts, that he couldn't be criminally held responsible or civilly held responsible because nobody came out. And so at this point, I'm not sure what some in the media are looking for, because can't be trusted to do what? To replace that system? No. But at the end of the day, Justin Tucker has lost his job. he's lost his marriage, and I know that his wife came out and said that, she believes him. But there were already reports that they were getting divorced. So he's lost his job. He's lost his marriage, and he will forever be branded as somebody that will be thought of as he has these sexual allegations. And that will be forever how he's branded whenever his name comes up again. So you have all three of those things. And there's potential that he may not ever be able to get a job in the NFL again, depending on what comes out with this investigation. So to me, all of those actions are more than just the Ravens' PR release that would have destroyed an investigation. So for me, I think it's fine if you're like, oh, I didn't love the wording of this. It would have been nice if they didn't say we appreciate this and that, all of that. But I think at the end of the day, he's lost his job. He may not be able to work in the NFL again. He's lost his marriage, and this is how he'll be branded for the rest of his life. To me, I don't know what else you can ask for, because the Ravens cannot replace the criminal justice system. They cut him. They've moved on. It's an end of an era in Baltimore.
Yeah. I don't have much to add other than some of these tweets come across as honestly selective outrage, a level of entitlement, and a disregard for the legal process. So I'll just put a bow on it that way. I think you summarized everything else more than well enough. Javian Clowney was just released by the Carolina Panthers. So he is now available as a veteran edge rusher who had a fantastic resurgent season with the Ravens just a couple years ago before taking the bag from the Carolina Panthers. So Javian is the breaking news. He is available right now. In 2 minutes, we're going to be joined by Coach Brent Pry. We've got quick hits after that. Let's get to some super chats before we bring them on. Sod Blitz 34 says the 6 a.m. locked on, 12 p.m. the vault. Love the crossover. Thanks to Kevin Ostreicher for having me on this morning. We recorded it last night. It dropped apparently at 6 a.m. Locked on Ravens. It was good to catch up with him. Dreams.
Dream says 25 to 100 from threes in 2 games. So is it 25 and then 100?
The team is 25 of 100. They've taken 100 3-point attempts in 2 games, which is absurd.
Jeez, that is absurd. 100 threes taken in 2 games. He said, glad I'm going to see my therapist in an hour, LOL. And Paul Pierce is my favorite player, so they can't have him walking.
That is hilarious. It is hilarious that he actually stood by his word. That's my favorite part about this entire thing. He's probably still walking as we speak right now. He's been updating people on his Instagram story.
Yeah.
Katie says, Sarah, you're looking very pretty in pink. Totally putting me out high and dry, Katie. I'm wearing pink as well.
Oh, yeah, you do have some pink on there.
People
hey,
ask
Bobby, you look pretty in pink too, buddy.
People are asking if it was communicated or coordinated, and the answer is no. Sod Blitz 34.
Could have had Gronk and Aaron. We got Pitta and Dixon. I was thinking more you could actually had Gronk and Pitta because the Ravens double dipped anyway.
Yeah. So
what if you had Gronk and Pitta? Woo.
Yeah. Aaron Hernandez wouldn't have ended well, as we all know on that one. By the way, I should have made you read a compliment about yourself with Katie's super chat. That was a total miss by me. Park Heights Prophet, who's a channel member, writes $24 now for Starks calling his shot on MV Pity. And I'll send $24 after the game when he does it. Of course, 24 is the number that his jersey number for Malachi. I should be in Buffalo for that game, so look for me on the camera after it happens. The Park Heights, that is, Prophet sees the vision.
Here's a question for you, Bobby. After you came down with the Buffalo flu or whatever it is you came back, and it took you out for like a couple weeks, I feel like.
Yeah.
Will you be returning to Buffalo?
You know, if it's a fall game and we're talking Western New York in the fall, if it's early season, first half of the season, that will be very tempting to go back with Be More Around Town because I kind of want redemption, want a little bit of redemption on the plague. And if
you don't want Buffalo to take you down. Like Buffalo doesn't end you. You get the last chapter of this story by beating Buffalo.
I need the last laugh. Yeah,
Okay.
I do. I need the last laugh, especially as an upstate New Yorker. I can't be saying or on record or out there knowing that Western New York put me to sleep for 2 weeks right after the playoffs and put you on Sarah Island inside the vault for multiple weeks. Can't happen again. Won't happen again. Appreciate you, Parkites.
Hey, I had Sarah Island on lockdown though.
You did. And you crushed it those weeks. Viewership was through the roof. Let's see. This is you.
He says everybody doing extensions but the Ravens.
You know why, Dreams. James Green, although I guess we don't know why.
Extensions are going to be coming down the pike.
With Lamar and Derek.
You're going to get one from Henry, whether it's this offseason or next season. You're going to get one from Lamar. Who else does he want extended? Do we know?
Probably Kyle.
Kyle.
Yeah. Probably Linderbaum.
There's no rush on that. There's no rush on Kyle.
Yeah, there is.
Although the sooner you do it, the cheaper it'll be.
Yes. James Green celebrating 2 months of channel membership as an official Voltron. We appreciate you, James. Thanks for all the support.
I do think it's funny though. Like every time we have news from another team, like of a signing or an extension, they're like, everybody does it but us. And it's like, you're comparing one team to, it just seems like against 31, like, yes, the 31 other teams are doing more extensions than the Ravens, but I don't know if any one single team, I mean, everybody's got to make their signings at some point.
Very natural competitive reaction within the life of fandom, I would think.
Yep.
Appreciate you, James. Sod Blitz. Oh, I never actually read James. I'm sorry. James Green said, I hope Zach and Dean, meaning Dean Pease, use Mike and Kyle with Malachi all over the field with blitz looks. Sorry, James. And Sod Blitz 34.
So that the Ravens said it was disciplinary, the NFL would have to end their investigation. Exactly. With it still going on, he's less likely to get picked up.
Making sure my messages are fully caught up to speed, that we haven't missed anything with Coach Pry.
Pease is not gone answering a question in the chat. He's just in an advisory role, right?
Yes.
But he's not gone. He's still
not gone. He's cutting back.
Yes. Okay, well, as you look that up, I'm seeing a debate in the chat on a Clowney reunion.
Okay. You want to get to that in a second? We got 2 more super chats.
Okay.
I like that idea.
Okay.
Bragging Rights Sports. I don't see the Ravens versus Bills as a big rivalry. Both teams and their diehard fans don't hate each other. It's mostly Lamar and Allen fanboys that do. That's probably fair.
I still see it as a rivalry. They're both trying to get to the same place, and they're constantly battling it out. The Bills have now beat the Ravens in the Lamar Jackson era twice in the playoffs, both times up in Buffalo. And I do get his point about Lamar and Allen fanboys for sure. But even with that, I still see it. I see it as a rivalry. I mean, they're both gunning for the same thing.
Can't hold a candle to Pittsburgh, though.
Obviously not.
What can, though? Cincinnati's probably up there. But the problem with Cincinnati is it's been so one-sided in the Burrow and Lamar era. Lamar's dominated that series.
Yeah.
So outside of that, it's hard to even put Kansas City as that, because that's the opposite.
Yeah.
That's vice versa. Kansas City's dominated that series. So
yeah.
So to me, a rivalry has to have a good mixture of parity, right? Like well-balanced series matchups, also like a highly entertainment value and a lot of success sprinkled in. Like those are the 3 things that, like, you need high entertainment with big personalities. You need a great success rate and obviously good quarterbacks, but ultimately you need that level of balance where it goes back and forth. And that hasn't been the case between Baltimore and Cincy.
Yeah, Bragging Rights kind of amending what he said. He said it's a rivalry, but not on the same level as rivalries with Pittsburgh, Cincy, Cleveland, Indy, and Tennessee. Yeah. And sometimes I feel like rivalries do fluctuate, right? Like Baltimore and Pittsburgh is always a rivalry. Always. I don't think it's as intense as it once was in the Ben Roethlisberger, Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs kind of era, but it's always there. But I think things with like the Bengals fluctuates, and to your point, if somebody's dominating, it's not a rivalry. So I think it fluctuates quite a bit here and there.
Fair. I'll let you take that last super chat right there. And if you could display it while I get us ready for the Jadeveon topic on the fly.
Yeah. So Brimey is again pointing out that Clowney was just released. And so people asking, like, should there be a reunion? I'll say this. I don't feel like the Ravens are in any sort of desperation mode to bring in another pass rusher. I feel like they have their veteran, which is Kyle Van Noy. And then they've got a couple guys like really Odafe Owe, who's entering his prime, although his prime may not be as good as some other people's primes. But he's entering his prime. And then you've got Tavius Robinson, who's, you know, a run stopper, seals the edge, all that kind of stuff. And then you've got Mike Green. And so those four right there get a lot done. I know Jadeveon I'm sure people are saying, well, what about depth? And Jadeveon Clowney, obviously at this point, better than David Ajabo. And who am I missing, Bobby? Who did we just draft last year? Third round? Adisa Isaac. So there's him. So like, whatever. Would I be against Jadeveon Clowney coming in on a veteran minimum deal? No. But at the same time, I'm not like, oh yeah, we got to go get him. We got to go get him. And I don't know that Jadeveon would come back for a 1-year veteran minimum deal. So
I don't disagree with anything you said. Right now, in terms of outside linebackers total, like if you do the count for roster construction purposes,
yeah,
the locks are Kyle, Ajabo, Tavius. You would think you're going to give.
I don't know that Ojabo's a lock. I wouldn't call him a lock.
Did I say? I
You
meant
said
Owe.
right now.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Owe, there you go.
Ajabo is definitely. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Ajabo is definitely not a lock.
Yeah.
But you would think that KVN, Owe, Mike Green, Robinson are your 4 locks, and then you would think a second-year player and Adisa Isaac's going to get the benefit of doubt.
Oh yeah, especially because he was injured a bit.
So anyway,
yeah.
But just popping into our waiting room is our featured guest. So let's reset things and get ready for today's featured guest. So before we bring him in, Sarah.
Yeah.
I just so happened to see his Twitter, and I just so happened to realize that Metallica performed at Lane Stadium, which is an iconic college football venue, yesterday. So I think the proper way to bring in Coach Pry is sharing a little something from his Twitter account, and then we'll bring him on and get his reaction to kind of get this interview jump started. Here is Coach Pry from just last night.
Hokie Nation, unbelievable. Metallica in the house. Lane Stadium tonight. Finally, it happens. Look at these jerseys. Unbelievable. All 4 band members, names on the back, and I love this orange one. Hokie Nation, you're going to love it. Look at the back of that jersey. Metallica right there in the VT. It's going to be a rocking night. Bang your head. Go Hokies. Go Metallica.
Yes.
And without further ado, the head coach of the Virginia Tech Hokies, kind enough to spend some time with us here inside the vault. Coach, did you just take us inside your pregame speech in the locker room? I'm ready to run through a wall for you right now if you need.
Well, listen, when you're standing there with Metallica, you better be strong and have your voice heard. You got to be impressive. You can't go in there flat with a group like that.
No, you cannot. It's like Brian Billick saying, when you go into a lion's den, you don't go in with your head down. You got to go in there waving your arms around with your spears ready to fight. So that's
Absolutely.
awesome. That's awesome. Coach, my name is Sarah. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to learn more about the Ravens' newest defensive tackle, Aeneas Peoples. Can you just give us a big picture? Who are we getting in Aeneas Peoples?
Yeah, let me tell you, first of all, unbelievable teammate. Those guys are going to love him in that locker room. He is a very likable young man. Made the transition here as a transfer with 1 year remaining and became one of the favorites in the locker room. The rest of those D linemen embraced him. He became fast friends with everybody. He's got a big smile, but, outside of being a tremendous teammate, he's a very versatile defensive lineman. He's got great feet, incredible quickness, and he's a very savvy football player.
So being that he was a transfer, and of course, you're no stranger to understanding what the transfer portal world looks like these days and the NIL world, which is another thank you for coming on, because I know that there is really no offseason when you're a head coach in college football. But as a transfer, was there something about him that stuck out to you and your staff that, like, yeah, he's a Hokie right here, we got to bring him into our program?
Well, to be honest, a lot like what we do with a lot of our transfers, there's a connection, there's a previous relationship, we can know, a little bit more in depth about a guy. And we knew that with Aeneas. Our corner coach, Derek Jones, had helped recruit him to Duke and knew the family very well. In fact, Aeneas has a younger brother that's going through the recruiting process now. But so we knew so much about the family and, the home training and how he was raised and what type of young man he is, what kind of character. And then obviously, he had success at the position in our league. So that was very easy to see and to sign off on. And then with the relationship with the family and our coach, the character piece, we were able to check that box. And so he was that was a big get for us. Duke worked really hard to retain his services, and we were thankful that he decided to become a Hokie.
It sounds like you worked even harder. There's something to this. John Harbaugh says the same thing. He loves it when players come from a football family, a family of athletes. What kind of impact do you feel like his family had, like on a like a day-to-day basis? Why does that matter so much?
Yeah, well, as a coach, you just appreciate that. The conversations that happen in that household. My dad was a college coach for 45 years. Both my brothers played. I played. So you're raised on competitiveness, on dedication, on sacrificing time, on incredible effort. You've been through the tough wins, the tough losses and the incredible wins. And so you knew that about Aeneas. He's got that going on, every day in his life. It's a competitive advantage when you are coming from a football family.
He put out a tweet not long after being drafted that I'm actually scrolling down to right now because I want to make sure that I get it correctly, but it was essentially putting the NFL on notice. And here it is right here, Coach. I'll read it word for word. Y'all messed up. Let me in the door. NFL, now I'll make it my home. Coach, one, talk to us a little bit about, you've already mentioned a couple things of this guy's personality, which clearly is unique and lights up a room. But what
he's confident. He's a confident guy.
No.
He was confident when we recruited him. He was confident as a player here. I wasn't surprised at all when I saw him make that statement. I kind of cringed a little bit, like, slow down, Aeneas. But that's who he is. It really is. That's who he is. That's what you're getting. He's a confident guy. He's going to have incredible determination to be successful at that level.
Yeah, I figure as the Papa Bear, right? You're cringing as Papa Bear in a sense. But I guess speaking of confidence, what would give you confidence as a talent evaluator, somebody who has sent year after year prospects off to play on Sundays, that his game will indeed translate to compete on Sundays?
Yeah, again, I think a couple things. He's got really good feet. And to me, that's one of the most important things, particularly for those inside spots. Whether you're talking about D tackle play, inside linebacker play, there's just so much trash in there. When you got quick feet and you can pick them up and put them down, it's an advantage. I think it's what helps him be tough to block. And then the second piece is he's got great get off. He gets out of his stance. He's in the attack mode. He can get on edges. He's got some qualities that say he can play out on the edge, but he's got the strength and he knows how to play with leverage. He knows how to strain to be able to play closer to the football. So he's got a unique skill set.
I was just about to ask you how he gets in the offensive backfield all the time, but I think you just named it, between his feet, his get off, and his leverage. So that's good to know. Now, when it comes to measurables, he may not be what usually we'll see at a defensive tackle in the NFL. maybe kind of it's ironic because his nickname is Fub, and he said that it was because he was born chubby, and so they called him Fat and Chubby, put it together, became Fubby, and then Fub. So the irony is that he's being called by scouts maybe somewhat undersized. Do you feel like when it comes to run stuffing that he'll be able to stand up to some of these big centers and guards and maybe some big running backs that are coming through at the NFL level?
Yeah, I do. I think it's because he understands leverage so well and plays with great leverage. As I mentioned, he can strain, he can fight pressure. He'll use offensive linemen's momentum against them. He's a savvy, smart football player, and he's also a good technician. He really works at it. I think he's going to hit his stride. I think he's ready to start playing his best football.
Let's cut to his introductory press conference. Part of what he had to say about his nickname. You'll get a good chuckle out of this, Coach.
Well, I got the nickname Fub when I was a little kid. So, I mean, I rarely even hear my government name nowadays. But, when I was a baby, I was fat and chubby. So they always called me Fubby growing up. And, now that I got older, it got shortened to Fub. So, I ran with it.
A little bit of rhyming included there. By the way, he comes across as a big teddy bear behind the mic. I'd have to think he's anything but between the lines.
Yeah, like I said, he got some swagger now. When he puts those pads on and he's out there playing ball, he's got some real swagger about him. I love that part of it.
What do you think of his fit with the Ravens specifically? We've had other coaches on to some of our draft picks that we got, and some of them felt like they felt like they knew it was going to be the Ravens just based off of phone calls that they got from Baltimore, whether it was one of the scouts or EDC. They're like, oh, I can tell the Ravens are interested. Did you talk to any Ravens scouts? And B, how do you feel like he'd fit in Baltimore, especially playing next to Nnamdi Madubuike, an all-pro defensive tackle?
Yeah, I think he fits in well. We don't get to watch a ton of NFL football as college coaches. Your Sundays are a grind. But what I know about the Ravens and what they do, he is a good fit. And I also think, we've got a guy that was here with us for a couple of years, worked in recruiting, and he's over with the Ravens now in the scouting department. And so he obviously, did his homework and from trusted sources was able to know a lot about Aeneas. And I'm sure that there was a level of comfort there.
Coach, there's been a little bit of overlap between your program and the Ravens. I know Chuck Clark was prior to your arrival down there in Blacksburg. And then, of course, Aeneas is most recently. But you going to send any more other guys up our way here in Baltimore?
Well, listen, we're recruiting well. We're getting better all the time. We still have a lot of work to do. But, we were proud this year. We had 6 guys out at the Combine and 5 in the Senior Bowl, another one, out in the Shrine Bowl. But we've, we're doing things the right way. I'm excited about the future. And hopefully, yes, we will be sending more players to the Ravens. And plus, we like having them close by. That way, it's an easy get back to Blacksburg.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. Get you over here. So last question for me, Coach. I know that you were like a little bit nervous about his tweet and whatnot, but he did fall to the 6th round. Do you feel like eventually he's going to be able to outplay his draft spot? Yeah,
that wouldn't surprise me one bit. I felt like he was a, middle of the draft guy. I knew they ding him for his size a little bit, but I think that, again, I think he's still – his best football's in front of him. I really believe that. I just saw him, really turning the corner and doing some things that a true vet does. So I think he'll flourish in your organization. I do believe that.
I said that was my last question, but can you go a little deeper into that? What have you seen that makes you feel like he's turned a corner to be more like a vet?
Yeah, I think those guys in their last year, it was a big decision for him to come here. And so he really increased the amount of extra effort and time and studying the game and mastering his craft. He's not there yet, but he took a big step that way. And he's a smart guy. So as he digs deeper and wants to know more and learn more about O-line play and offensive schemes, he's only going to get better.
Yeah. Coach, we really appreciate your time, particularly after what I'm sure was a career night for you. I forgot to bring this up in the beginning.
Yeah,
I
late
mean,
night.
come on now. This is a little backstage access for you.
Yeah, man, that's how I roll. Yeah, that's what we do at Virginia Tech, man. We bring, Hall of Fame rock and roll metal bands in and hang out with them.
That is awesome.
What's
Lane
your
Stadium
favorite?
was rocking, guys. I'm telling you, Lane Stadium was unbelievable last night. Go online and watch some of the videos. It was an incredible performance by Metallica.
Hey, too many to choose from, but your favorite Metallica song?
Oh, come on.
You got to choose one.
Of course, it's Enter Sandman.
There we go.
Oh yeah. Oh
He
yeah.
just picked the Steelers one there, Bobby.
Well, he picked what's a Hokie staple, and that's actually what I was going to get you out of here on, Coach, because you've been with the program now for several years. But if you could, and I'm sure you've been asked this 1,000 times, but if you could somehow articulate what was happening within you as you and your crew entered Lane Stadium for your first home game as the head coach of the Hokies, how would you describe it?
That just gave me chills, you talking about it. It's the best entrance in all of college football. And to experience it firsthand and to lead that team out of the tunnel, I'm blessed and fortunate. I mean, it's unbelievable. I've been coaching 35 years, and it's been, it's the most amazing event that's happened in my coaching career.
It's incredible. It's still on my bucket list for sure.
You got to do it.
A lot of buddies.
You won't regret it.
I got a lot of Hokie boys that are in this area. My father went to Georgetown, so his classmates, their kids are watching this. They're all Hokie people, and I've been following your program from afar for a long time. So thank you so much for carving out some time. And hey, if Aeneas's career blossoms like we all hope it will, and you expect it to, then we'll have to do this again down the road.
Absolutely. Thanks for the time, guys. Pulling for Aeneas always. You guys are going to be excited about this guy.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Coach. Best of luck. And man, oh man,
I screwed it up. It's not Enter Sandman. It's Renegade. How did I get that wrong?
Well, so I'm telling you, yes, that's correct. But that pregame atmosphere, that game day atmosphere, not having done it yet, I think honestly you can speak on it without actually having done it. Maybe not to the degree of which you can when you've been in Lane Stadium, but having watched those viral videos, that is a college football staple. And the fact that they got Metallica inside Lane Stadium at the end of the semester, no less. Think about being a student there last night. What an environment. So
awesome.
Hey, that just marked our first active head coach at any level joining us here inside the vault. So not only was that a milestone for this show, nearly 3 years into our existence, but I thought it was really helpful to kind of get to know who Fub is all about. He was a transfer, so they did only spend 1 year together. I had actually forgotten that, so that was good stuff there from Coach. But
I do think that says a lot about Aeneas, that he can have that type of success in a single year coming into a new defense. And to Coach's point that, like, the wheels are turning. He's studying offensive linemen and what they do. The fact that he could pick up the defense in a single year and have the success that he did, that's really a great sign as he transitions into the NFL. One thing I forgot to ask him was, I wondered if he's got to be able to put on more weight too, right? Like if people keep saying he's undersized, maybe that's something that he can do.
Yeah, that was awesome. Get to learn a little bit more about the outspoken. I thought it was awesome. The best part in my mind was when he put on his Papa Bear hat, right? And he's like, I kind of cringed when he tweeted that out.
Yeah.
And we covered it ever so slightly, I think. But this is a pretty big statement from a 6th round pick. Y'all messed up, let me in the door. Now I'm going to make it my home, NFL. He's feeling some sort of adrenaline that I think we all would just clamor to have and feel for even 5 minutes in our lives. So I'm not going to hold it to him. I'm not going to hold it against him.
Yeah, no.
But,
listen, I feel like a good chunk of draft picks, they're feeling the adrenaline. They're feeling excited. They feel like they made it in. I remember Trenton Simpson was the same way. He was talking big. And so all these guys do it. And I am not going to feel bad that in their moment of excitement where their dreams come true, that they're thinking that, all right, great, I got this goal. Now I'm ready for the next one.
Precisely. As we always say, these guests, these coaches, these analysts, these players make time out of their busy days. And when you think about what's going on these days in an ever-changing landscape that is college athletics, with the transfer portal running rampant, with the NIL world bringing new challenges. We can't thank these guys enough. These folks that are, willing to share their perspective with us. So if you could go tweet at Coach Pry VT right here, send him a little message of thanks because we really appreciate it. And that was pretty cool to mark off a great guest.
Yeah, that was great. Good job. Great booking by you.
Thank you. And thanks to Travis from Virginia Tech, the athletics department, for making that happen behind the scenes. Let's get to some quick hits before we jump, and we'll pick back up here. Which,
by the way, all three of us were kind of matching. He didn't have a pink. He had that hokey kind of, what is it, like a deep maroon? I don't know what they call it over there.
It's that time of year.
But the way it was like a lighter one, you know what I mean? So we were all kind of matching.
It's that time of year.
Yeah.
For Emory Jones, the third rounder, he is, of course, going to be down for a little bit here, as John Harbaugh confirmed earlier this week. I believe that was on Sunday's press conference at the rookie mini camp. But Emory tweeting in due time with an hourglass, sand running out. God, I trust you. Essentially with one knee down, praying and suggesting that it's going to be a little bit, obviously, going to need some higher power, maybe a little bit of luck here to be ready by training camp. But the rookie tackle, Sarah, when he is available, you hope that he's somebody that can provide a little bit of depth, provide a little bit of competition within that tackle room in the coming years.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. Like I said, it's tough to miss rookie mini camp. It's tough that he's going to have to miss all these OTAs. It's really when you're drinking from the water hose, but you need to do that then. But all will not be lost if he is able to return in training camp. So I'm pulling for him. I'm sure it's tough for him to I finally have my NFL dreams come true and I'm here and I can't play. So best of luck to him.
Definitely. We saw it happen with TJ Tampa last year with that double sports hernia surgery that really just set him back. It's hard to drink from the fire hose. And then when you're drinking from the fire hose and you're unavailable, it just starts to pile up on you. So best of luck to him. Hopefully for his sake, he is indeed ready. And I think it's a shoulder that he's coming back from, right? I believe it's a shoulder.
Yep.
So, and
Warren
you brought
Sharp?
this one in from Warren Sharp.
Yeah. Warren Sharp put out, we've always said in Baltimore, inside the vault, we always talk about how the AFC North, if not one of the best divisions in football. And Warren Sharp's statistics back that up. He's got the win percentage in non-division games since 2020. And the AFC North is number one, and it's number one by a lot. The non-division game win percentage is 60%. It's 128 wins to 85 losses in the AFC North. Then there's a big gap. There's a 5% gap, Bobby, after that. Then it goes to the AFC North at 55.1%. Just underneath that, NFC North at 53.9, NFC West at 53.7, NFC East at 50.2, AFC East at 49.3. So you can see how all of those are kind of scrunched together. You've got 5 divisions all within 5% of each other. But then the Ravens the AFC North have a 5% gap over all of them. Then there's another big gap, NFC South at 41.7, and the AFC South at 36.1%. Woof. So I feel more confident. We've already said the AFC North, toughest division in football. Now we can say it with our chests out, with the stats backing it up.
This could very well be Lamar Jackson's greatest testament. The greatest testament that's out there to Lamar's greatness and what he's done since coming in. I mean, this is just, it's a collective testament for the division as a whole and the parity and the balance and the consistency. But being that Lamar's going for 3 straight AFC North titles this upcoming year, it goes both ways. It's great for the division. It's great for somebody that has had that much success leading the way in Baltimore for the last several years. More quick hits here. Sanusi Kane, second-year player, safety out of Purdue. I believe it was a day 3, 7th rounder from last year. Looks like he's going to be taking Brandon Stevens 21. So I would imagine there's a collective sigh of relief. Yes, I'm sure we can't hear it, but we could probably envision it out there. If you're listening to this one, Brandon Stevens departed in free agency of the New York Jets, got a nice bag from them. And for Sanusi, it's a return to the number that he wore in college. Elsewhere, believe you brought this one in on the future draft.
Yeah. We already know that the Ravens have been trying to bring the draft into to Baltimore, but the Maryland Stadium Authority told the Baltimore Sun that's right, we're trying to do it. Terry Hasseltine, who's the vice president of Maryland Stadium Authority's marketing and communications, he said he went out to Green Bay last month where they held the draft and got a good look at what they did there, taking some notes. About 600,000 fans attended. He said that right now they're kind of in an exploratory phase. But he's hoping to do it maybe 29, 30, or 31. Oof. 2030, doesn't that sound like the future? I mean, it technically is the future, but I mean like future, kind of movie future. But just a reminder that Sashi Brown, Ravens president back at the NFL owners meeting, said we're very interested in trying to convince the league that Baltimore is going to be the best site for the draft of all time. Sounds like John Harbaugh kind of stuff right there.
Sarah, I'm going to tell you what absolutely has to happen if they want a future draft. They want a realistic, legitimate chance of competing with a market like DC when it comes to the draft. Now, of course, DC is going to be in 2 years from now. Next year will be in Pittsburgh. This year was in Green Bay, meaning markets like Baltimore, the size of Baltimore, are getting opportunities. Green Bay is smaller than Baltimore, I believe, by a wide margin. But obviously it's an iconic venue outside of Lambeau. Mm-hmm. What I feel, having lived in this city for close to over 10 years, if you include college, well over 10 years.
Okay.
You have got to develop and clean up, and they're trying, but they have 4 or 5 more years apparently to do so. If these are the years indeed that they'll be eligible, you have got to develop the Inner Harbor. It is too central of a location that you will see on every single primetime game for the Ravens, right? When they come back from commercials or when they're cutting to break, you've got the different cameras that are placed all throughout the city. You've got the helicopter blimp views. You have got to get the Inner Harbor in order. There is too much vacant lots. There is too much. There's a level of homelessness. There's a level of pollution and trash, and it's an eyesore. That's supposed to be the iconic spot where all this takes place. Now, you might be out there and say, well, no, you want it near the stadiums. Okay, that's fair. Maybe Ravens Walk in between Camden Yards and M&T Bank Stadium. I could definitely be convinced of that. Is that big enough? That's where, to me, I have pause there. Is it big enough? The Inner Harbor is big enough, but it has to be more developed if they want something like this and the national spotlight that comes with it. So some of this is me venting because it's been really hard to see over the years. I walk through there on a weekly basis. And I'm sure you remember it. It's probably changed a lot since.
I was going to say it may have changed because I just always remember the Inner Harbor being beautiful. I mean, you can clean up some of the litter. Like sometimes you'd see bottles and stuff like that in the water. That's easy. That's easy. Like to clean that up. I mean, I say it's easy, but I mean, they can get that done. You saying that there's vacant lots and all of that, I don't remember that during my time there. So maybe it's changed a bit.
I will say they're doing a great job with Mr. Trash Wheel, this boat electrical trash wheel that's been picking up trash at a intense rate. To be honest with you, and I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole right now because we got to go, but there is so much littering that takes place, not just in Baltimore, but just in cities in general. I had a little bit of
that's everywhere. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the blatant littering that you witness sometimes just sets me off when you live in the neighborhood or in the city in which that littering is so blatantly being produced. So there's a level of that the city obviously has very little control over. That's just antics. That's just nonsense. Mm-hmm. That's just a disregard for your community, for nature, for your city. Crime is down. I just saw a report recently that Baltimore, I can't remember top 20, top 25. They are no longer in a category that you don't want to be in when it comes to violent crime in dangerous cities. So that is a plus. That's something that you hang your hat on, of course, because that has ravaged this city for years. But Sarah, I continue to believe that if the Inner Harbor doesn't become a staple again, it's going to be really hard to bring in events like the draft.
Yeah, and I think all that's doable. What's interesting is I think of like other stuff. It's like, do you have like, because you and I have been to different Super Bowl destinations, right? And you know that the entire NFL world is going to descend. Like, do you have the hotels? Do you have the infrastructure? Do you have the transportation? Like, to me, it's like more of that stuff, because what I think you're talking about, I do think happens in every city. And I think a cleanup is something that you can get done for sure. I'm thinking of like those bigger things is, do you have the hotel capacity? Do you have like all that infrastructure and transportation and all of that? So
Sure. And transportation will always be an issue
yeah.
when it comes to Baltimore. Just because aside from the light rail, that's really all you have to kind of accommodate folks that don't want to stay in the city. And unfortunately, because of whether it's a narrative or in part true, I think you have a preconceived notion by a lot of people that are outside of the Maryland area that view Baltimore as a non-negotiable. We're not going there. It's unsafe. And so if the draft does end up coming here, you will have a contingent of people that say, okay, we want to go to the draft because we go every year, right? NFL fans are rabid. We go every year. And if they do come to Baltimore, they'll say, well, we'll stay in the county. That's where it becomes an issue. The light rail has certain limitations in terms of where it goes to and where it starts. So anyway, hey, it's awesome that Baltimore is in the mix. I will continue to be a fan of this place. I've loved it. I've spent all my 20s here into my early 30s. I went to school. I became a young man here, and you wish the best for it. It's just there's some aspects of it that are tough. It's frustrating too. And that dude, I think, makes a great point here, Sarah. This is something that you are probably completely unfamiliar with because it's so new that I was unfamiliar with it up until a few months back when I started kind of heading over to the Port Covington area. It's called the Baltimore Peninsula. It's like past Fed Hill. And the Under Armour headquarters just moved from literally right along the Patapsco, or maybe they're in the process of moving. I think at this point they may have transferred everything over. I don't know if there's still maybe a couple lingering aspects of it, but they are now over in the Baltimore Peninsula. And that dude is suggesting that maybe it happens there. And honestly, it is exceptional over there. There's a lot of development happening that's right now. So it's tough. There's a lot of construction zones and it doesn't, there's some eyesores over there as any construction site would bring you, but that's a cool little space over there, Sarah. And I got to send you some photos the next time over there because they're doing a really good job with it.
Awesome.
We had one more super chat too. I know I was rambling there a little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're good.
Yeah.
Things are Cleveland Browns tweeting out football. Things are happening. Had pictures of both Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett on campus. And also, I don't know if you saw it, Bobby, but ESPN put out a Photoshop of the Browns' two rookie quarterbacks. And it might have been one of the worst Photoshops I've ever seen. I was like, who did this Photoshop? I don't know what was going on. But anyway, just keeping tabs on our AFC North rivals and what's going on. So the quarterback competition is on in Cleveland.
Oh, I cannot wait to watch it.
And according to Mary Kay Cabot, Kenny Pickett, the favorite. Penciled in favorite.
That's right. Yeah, that definitely. I know that I could tell by the comments, everybody was a little bit surprised by that one, as were we. I know I was. Asmodeus says, I was watching Sip the Tally film on Fubs. Everything Coach says tracks with me, meaning Coach Pry, who just joined us a few minutes ago. His technique reminds me greatly of a Linderbaum type, just on the other side. Good stuff, Richard. Adit.
Jordan Stout was at Tech and Penn State with Pry.
Oh shoot.
Asked about that.
Dang. Adit, I wish I would have seen that live. Thank you. Appreciate the super chat. And we are fully caught up to speed. Now that Saad Blitz says would love Clowney and Judon back. But right now we have 8 ED. What's ED?
Edge
rushers.
Although
8 of them.
Maybe if you count, the 90-man roster right now. Did they bring in other undrafted guys and whatnot?
Probably.
So
thanks, Saad. Yeah, Judon's available right now. I was actually asked about that on a podcast that I went on recently.
Yeah, and I feel like when you're as tight up against the cap as the Ravens are, like I would like to see that money spent on like a veteran defensive tackle. Just in case Peoples doesn't come along, right? Like a run stuffer type guy.
Yeah, with that 4.2 they're getting after June 1. Go get some depth interior defensive tackle wise. I agree. Lauren Wunderlich and Bill Justice, thank you both for believing in what we're building. This is your monthly shout out because of the consistent support that you guys give us through Patreon. We appreciate you for being part of that community, and we appreciate you believing in our channel. Ravens Vault Podcast, that's patreon.com/Ravens Vault Podcast is how you can go check out what we're offering. And right now, you can also help us reach 150 channel members, official Voltron channel members, by clicking on the link that we have included in the live chat. There's a pinned comment right now. 3 different tier levels for membership. Great way to give back to the channel. Great way to get something in return as well. Awesome stuff today. We again want to say one more thank you to Coach Brent Pry of the Virginia Tech Hokies, who was kind enough to carve out some time for us today in his offseason. There really is not an offseason when you're a college coach, so that was super cool, and we got to learn about another Ravens rookie. And that just reminds me on the way out here, go check out yesterday's conversation after this live stream ends, if you haven't already, with Arizona defensive coordinator Danny Gonzalez, who was the special teams coach last year. And that meant he worked really closely with Tyler Loop, who's the new Ravens kicker. So
Awesome.
Appreciate you. We'll close down the week tomorrow.
Is it already Friday? This week
Friday.
flew by for me.
This one really did. I agree. I agree.
I don't even know why.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like I'm catching more up on sleep. And I know I didn't do all the same streaming as you did, but I know that we were both crazy busy, regardless. And it's really coming off. The whole month of April was like this just sprint. So maybe that's why this week is going by quickly. Like there's not like the pressure of a new thing coming up. I'm just like, all right, catching up on sleep. This week feels good.
Yeah, we've been on one. We've been on a great little roll here. Great little roll with viewership. Dreams says I missed his super chat, but I don't think I did. Oh, yes, I did, because it just came in. Sorry, Dreams.
I didn't think I did. Oh, wait. Yes, I did.
I did. It's because it came in. I was going in reverse order than usual. But Dreams writes, as someone who has spent many summers as a kid in Baltimore, the city has to get cleaned up. It's a beautiful city, but there is still fear. And, of course, as we've mentioned a couple times now, not abnormal, right? There is fear in certain cities, certain areas of cities, especially big cities. And Baltimore is not immune to that. So, and obviously it's still recovering from from a global, from a national standpoint, the narrative and the perception since Freddie Gray, which I think was 2015, maybe something like that. So anyway, hey, it's been an awesome place. Would highly recommend it. My brother's going to be moving here after college to start his career. He just made that decision the other day. He's graduating Loyola next weekend. All my family's coming in, and he'll be living in Baltimore City and working out in the county. So I think it's an awesome place to get your career started. And congratulations to Lil Wags.
He inked it? It's a done deal? It's official?
He's locked in. He had a couple different offers. We're all proud of him. He definitely grinded down the stretch and made himself a very, worthy candidate. I think he had 3 or maybe 2 or 3 legitimate leads, and ended up settling with a company called SC, and not settling, but he ended up signing with a company that my sister actually started with. Tori started at SC&H. It's a financial firm up in Sparks. And I think his office is going to be in Columbia. So we're all fired up for him.
Nice. Congrats.
And yes, Sebastian, he did move his car after I scolded him the other night. Yes. Thank you for your memory.
You're still boiling about that one.
Oh, I'm good. But yeah, I had to rip him pretty good in the group message. Ashley says, I'm so ready for football. The Orioles have been such a disappointment. And we'll finish here. Have you caught any wind of what's taking place this year?
Well, I'm seeing a lot of calls for the GM to be fired. And a lot of losing. I'm seeing that. So.
And you are seeing correctly. They are 9 games under 500. They are 7 games out of the division, literally a little over a month into the season, and they are sputtering. They are in big trouble.
It's off such a great year, too.
Well, their injured list, their IL is literally a laundry list long, and they don't have the pitching to compete with. Well, it's a terrible combination of their bullpen is being totally stressed because of a rotation that's shot and only going 4 or 5 innings at a time. So it's really putting the bullpen and the relief staff in a tough position, and then combine that with they just don't hit with runners in scoring position, which has been their Achilles heel in the postseason. So very disappointing start for the Orioles. We have seen crazier things happen in terms of getting back into it, but in this division, it is tough. Best division in baseball. So on paper. Anyway, gotta go.
Baltimore, both the toughest divisions in the two professional sports
For
that
sure.
they feature.
For sure.
Yeah.
The funny part is it's actually not the best division right now when it comes to record, but I think when you just look at sheer rosters, I don't know. Like right now, the Yankees are actually the only team that's above 500. Red Sox are playing 500 baseball. Blue Jays are 4 under. Rays are 4 under, and the Orioles are 9 under. So anyway, I know it's been bugging people like Ashley because they have regressed big time, but it's a lot of that's just due to the injuries. So anyway, 90 minutes of football for you today with a little bit of NBA and baseball sprinkled in there. So hopefully you guys don't mind a little bit of variety this time of year. And we will be back with you tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern, as always, on Friday. If you could, on the way out, please like the video, subscribe. We're coming up on 25,000 subscriptions here. We would love for you to help us get to that number, big milestone, quarter of 100,000, which is awesome. And hit that notification bell. And we did just send over some feedback to our designer. But if you're interested in throwing in some last minute feedback, go leave a comment, go place a vote in the community posts. Go to our channel, go to the community posts, and we have a bunch of different details for you on the upcoming new Vault merch line. So yeah, appreciate you, partner. Have a great Thursday, everybody. We'll catch up with you in under 23 hours from right now for a Ravens lunch hour live stream. And as always, thanks for spending some time with us here inside the Vault. Talk to you soon.